My name is Gary Brown. I'm a candidate for Detroit City Council. Pretty proud of the fact that I came in third out of 167 candidates in the primary. I think it's a tribute to the fact that Detroiters are real hungry for change on the Detroit City Council. I certainly believe that a lot of the problems that we have here in Detroit are as a result of a lack of leadership by the council at whole, not any individual, but the council as a whole has failed us with regards to leadership, and that's why we're in some of the problems that we have. With regards to my background, I have a bachelor's degree from Wayne State, master's degree from Eastern Michigan. I was born and raised right here in Detroit, educated here in Detroit, met my wife, married her, raised 3 kids here in Detroit, got 4 grandchildren here in Detroit. And with regards to my community involvement, I'm on the board of directors of the Mariners Inn, which is a homeless shelter for drug abuse men. I do have a twin brother. He has been fighting drug abuse for 30 to 35 years. So I'm really, that's an important issue for me. I'm on my neighborhood association board of directors. I'm in charge of the vacant home committee. So I understand Detroiters' problems with regards to all the vacant homes that are in our neighborhoods. Professionally, I worked for a company prior to joining the police department for about 5 years, in which I was a manager. The company did about $10 million in business, so I do understand something about budgets and managing people. I spent 2 years in the United States Marine Corps, and of course 26 years in the Detroit Police Department, where I started as a police officer and retired as a deputy chief. So I think that pretty well sums up my educational background, some of my community support, as well as my professional work history. I chair the vacant home committee in my neighborhood. We have 28 of them. I firmly believe that local government isn't in a position to do a lot of things in our neighborhoods, and so Washington isn't going to come in here and save us. The state isn't going to save us. If our neighborhoods are saved, it's going to be done block by block, neighbor by neighbor. So I'm very concerned about organizing block clubs into neighborhood associations and getting things done. I think that local government can certainly leverage some of their resources in order to be a partner in relationship to neighborhoods, and that certainly will be a priority of mine if I'm given the privilege to serve on Detroit City Council. We got to start with the cause. I mean, we got to start with foreclosures. We've got to go after these lending institutions that have destroyed our city. That's one thing. Then we got to be able to at least categorize the homes that cannot be saved and need to be demolished by priority, and then identify the homes that could be saved. We could create jobs for our neighbors to go in and repair those homes, fix them up, and then hopefully give some of these Detroiters that have been in our city for 30 or 40 years playing by the rules and by no fault of their own are down on their luck. Let's give them the house for $1, and that's on the condition that they could at least pay the taxes. Let's make sure that they have a grant that would allow the house to become energy efficient, because if they've got an $800 or $900 gas bill, that's going to defeat the purpose. We'd just be setting them up for failure. We need the house to be energy efficient, being that the electrical and gas bill are probably the highest bill that they have. And then we got to also do some training with regards to home ownership. I don't really believe that every Detroiter right now is in a position to own a home, but certainly if we could give some training on home ownership and what it means to be a homeowner, along with giving them a grant to fix the house up so that it's energy efficient, and some support that the city has, we could make our neighborhoods a lot more viable. So that's one thing that I do right away. With $300 to $400 million in deficit, a priority of mine would be to stay out of receivership at all costs. Detroiters would lose the ability to prioritize services that they want to have. If we go into receivership, someone would come into Detroit and make those decisions for us. So that's a priority of mine. I don't believe that there's any new revenue coming into Detroit anytime within the next 5 to 10 years. The problems that we're having are very basic. Businesses aren't coming, people are leaving because the city is not perceived to be safe. We have to make the city safe before anyone's going to come in and invest money and create jobs in the city. Secondly, DPS, we've got to educate our kids, and I think the city needs to play a larger role in collaborating with DPS and again leveraging some of the resources that they have in order to help educate our kids. So, you know, I've been on the campaign trail now for the last year. Specifically the last 3 or 4 months, I've heard of a lot of great revenue generating strategies. They will never work if the city isn't safe. Nobody's coming here. People won't stop leaving until we have a safe city. And so second only to the safety and public safety would be number one is educating our kids. We need families in Detroit. You know, empty nesters and young professionals downtown are not gonna, is not what the city needs in order to grow. We need families. They spend money, they spend tax dollars, they support our schools, and that's what we need, and they're not coming until we make the city safe. No, I don't support takeover of DPS. First of all, you know, the voters should determine whether or not the mayor has complete control of the school. However, I do think that there needs to be a higher level of collaboration between the city and the school system. For instance, if we don't have money for rec centers, then we ought to use the money we have to make the rec centers in the schools. Our police department should be very involved in truancy. I think we could reduce the crime rate with regards to breaking and entering of homes in the daytime if we got these kids back in school. But more importantly, we could reduce the dropout rate if we got them back in school. I don't believe that kids wake up one morning and decide to drop out of school. I think they miss a class, they miss 2 classes, they miss a day, they miss 2 or 3 days. If we can intervene, get them back in school, get them back on track, I think we would reduce the dropout rate, and we'd also be able to collect more state dollars for those warm behind sitting in school seats where they need to be so that they can get educated and find a good job. First of all, you know, I've talked to Mayor Bing, I've talked to Chief Evans. You know, we have between 800 and 1,000 police officers that are currently doing administrative clerical work, sitting behind a desk. Those jobs could be taken over by volunteers. They could be taken over by Detroit reservists. They could be taken over by civilian personnel that will do the job for half the price and probably do it better. That would put between 800 and 1,000 police officers on the streets tomorrow. Wouldn't cost another dime. You just have to renegotiate the work rules and make the work rules say that every police officer every police officer that's been trained in the police academy, has a gun and a badge, is of able body, should be in a scout car patrolling our neighborhoods to help make it safe. Number one. Number two, they need to institute an off-duty employment program for police officers so that neighborhoods, businesses, and anyone that wants to hire police officers that will be off-duty in a scout car in uniform with their gun and their badge could do so. That would put additional police officers on the streets of Detroit that the citizens of Detroit wouldn't be paying for. The citizens a community group. In my community, we hire a private patrol to patrol our neighborhood. We'd rather hire real Detroit police officers that could participate in community policing, do home surveys, and the such. We pay them between $22 and $25 an hour. The police officers would make additional income. The community, my neighborhood, would get what we want, which is real police officers in our neighborhood. And the citizens of the city of Detroit would get scout cars on the street that they're not paying for, which would allow the officers that are on duty to go into areas of the city that are a little heavier in crime and don't have the resources in order to hire their own police. There are supermarkets in the city of Detroit that would pay police officers $25 an hour. I would certainly suggest that $3 out of every hour that an off-duty officer is employed would go to purchase an insurance policy that would not only indemnify the city, but would indemnify the employer. That is an absolute must. And then we ought to pay for at least 1 or 2 people to be able to administer the program, so that if Tiger Stadium or Mike's Market at 7 Mile and 7 Mile Livernois wants to take advantage of this, that there would be someone that could work out of police personnel that could schedule these officers. But the point I'm trying to make is that the citizens of the city of Detroit shouldn't bear any expense, and most certainly the liability that was the center of your question, the indemnification of both the employer as well as the city, must be taken care of.